All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Fort Worth Community Arts Center's Boxed Lunch program. We are so very happy to be here with you folks today. And again, as we continue on with our original work series, we are so excited to have yet another fabulous playwright with us, the one and only David Douglas. How you doing today, David?
Hey, doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we are so very glad to have you. And before we get into too much detail here, do you mind just taking a second, introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm David Douglas. I'm a playwright, award-winning short story author. Originally born in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is the northeast corner. It's about an hour's drive from Memphis, Tennessee. Born and raised there. I was actually born with spina bifida, so if you see me move around, I'm actually in a wheelchair. I could walk until around junior high. Somewhere around in there, I got diagnosed with scoliosis, so that's the curvature of a spine. And so between 9th and 10th grade, I had to have 3 different surgeries to have that corrected with rods and pins put in. And at some point during that, I actually lost some nerve function in my left leg. And so I can't walk anymore since then without a wheelchair or forearm crutches. I can walk around with that. But so you'll see me in a wheelchair or forearm crutches around town, anywhere I go. But so I was born in Arkansas. I graduated Arkansas State University. I ended up with a math degree. I didn't really know, even though I've been writing up my whole life, I never actually saw it as a career. I used to write like poems and short stories and song lyrics and all kinds of things, but I was always told I'm good at math and science, and so that's what I pursued in college. But anyway, I found my way back to writing. Taught advanced calculus and things at a private school for a year right after college, and then I went to the University of Memphis, where I studied statistics for a while. I realized I don't want to do data analysis for the rest of my life, so I actually went back to Arkansas, and my friend and I started a website business. So we made websites for several years, and during the off time of that, I actually found my love for writing again and started doing short stories. I started working on a novel, and then in 2014 moved to DFW, McKinney. I live in McKinney, and started joining writers groups. So I wanted to learn more because I knew this is what I want to do. I love writing, and I was on the board of 3 different writers groups, the board of directors, and from that experience, I actually founded Stage Writers, which is a local playwright group, and we've been around for about 3 years now. So, and then I've been writing plays since then too.
Wow. Well, we were graced with Railbird last year at our inaugural original work series. And just again, so very grateful that you found a way to submit another one. And we'll talk about that in a little more detail here in just a few. And I was very curious if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about how has your playwriting been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic?
It's been tough because I think in 2019, if you check my Instagram, I was posting every play I was going to, and I went to about 45 local plays or festivals, or in that year, because I wanted to learn, I wanted to be inspired, and then that just ended in March of 2020, and it was hard to get inspired again, and so I actually quit writing for several months, and we had the Railbird show. I think that was April, and then almost the whole summer I really didn't write anything. And then I finally decided, I had an award-winning short story called The Bruised Banana, and I thought maybe I could make it into a play. And so I did that. I submitted it to the Seven. It's a fusion theater in Albuquerque. And from 800 something submissions, I was in the top 7 based on the short story, turned into a play. And then they produced that this past October. It was actually a filmed version, not even Zoom. It was actually filmed, and I thought that was cool. So that kind of got me re-inspired, and I wanted to do more writing because I actually, had stuff done. But I think lately I'm kind of moving toward back to working on a novel and things because I missed the stage, and if I don't get to see it on the stage, I think maybe I should be doing short stories or novels until that comes back.
Wow, very, very interesting. So now you're a part of a lot of writers groups. What's the general feel out there amongst playwrights and other writers? Are they finding inspiration, or do you feel as though a lot of them, in the majority, are just kind of holding tight, waiting for muse? What's the overall energy out there in the stage writers world?
Stage writers, we're doing fine. We're kind of helping each other. We've started this year. We started having meetings every week because we want to keep motivated, and we started setting monthly goals for. We would set our own monthly goals for each other and just kind of help each other stay inspired. But I do see from other groups, even they're writing short stories or novels or whatever. It seems like everybody's kind of struggling to stay motivated. It's like just being stuck in the house, even though you have all this time, it's like so hard to make it creative because you're just stuck. And I think that's a issue, but seems like now that most people are getting used to it, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel with vaccines and things that, you know, I think people are being more productive now that they're used to, but at the start it was rough.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm curious, you kind of cover the gamut there: poems, short stories, playwriting. Um, what do you consider as a writer to be the biggest hurdle in trying to navigate a story to a specific discipline? Do you have a favorite, or do you just head in the direction that the story takes you in regards to choosing how you see it being a play, a poem, a short story? What is that process for you? And do you consider one to be easier than the other?
It's so me, I think playwriting is easier because I love to write dialogue. And I was noticing when I was working on a novel, it was like 90% dialogue. I was like, I don't know if anybody's actually going to read this. And so, and then that kind of got me into playwriting. I went to a local group in Louisville, our productions theater, and they were doing a reading of Bruce Coleman's Haunted play.
Oh,
I went there
what?
that one day, and they just sat in a circle, and he had brought actors, and you just read from the script, and I thought, oh, this is what I should be doing, and that was in 2017, I think, and right after that, I wrote Railbird because I was inspired. I thought, okay, the playwriting is what I should be doing. Um, so that's the easiest for me, and I also love tight stories that take place you know, without a lot of locations and things, and that's fun. But the novel I'm working on, which I had started several years ago, even before I moved to Texas, I had wrote about half of it, outlined the whole thing, and then moved on from it, moved on to playwriting. But that particular story takes place in so many different locations. There's so many characters that wouldn't work as a play. So I'm actually going back to try to make it into a novel because there's no way it could be staged the way it is. It would have to be changed so much. So, and it's such for me, a story that I almost have to write. So I'm going to try to produce it as a novel, and we'll see how that goes. But so I do encourage people that write short stories to see if they can also write it as a play. I've done talks on this because so many times, so if you got a short story and you write it, you could also most likely make it into a play because I call it the double life of a short story. Don't just give up on doing it one way. You can do it others. You might need to change some. You might need to reverse the order, all kinds of things. But there's so much more you can do with a story. It don't have to be stuck in a certain certain format.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Have you dipped your toes into the screenwriting world at all?
No, when I was in college, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write and direct movies because I, I think Netflix had just come out and where they would send videos at home, even before the streaming, I would get them in the mail. And I just started watching classic movies and foreign movies because in my town, it was like all you could watch was this big budget Hollywood stuff, which I don't even care about. But I got to see all these indie movies, foreign movies, and things. And I was so inspired. I thought, oh, I want to write and direct movies. And this Railbird was actually wrote it as a short film. It was called Fire Lake way back 2005, maybe. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But that was the first long thing I had ever written. It was like 50 something pages then. I was going to get friends together and film it myself, but since then, no, I've not really looked into doing film because I don't know, it just takes so many people, such a big budget. I like things I can do myself, and
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about how people describe the storytelling discipline. They say, and I may be misquoting this, but I believe song is a mood, a play is dialogue, a movie is visual, and a novel is narrative and descriptive. Is that pretty much the way you see it as well?
yeah, yeah. So you just got to adapt to the format you're writing in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on that same note, what have you learned about yourself as a storyteller this last year?
Um, I don't. I'm an introvert, so it's like I have to have time alone, and I would think having all this time stuck at home would be great, but it's like it's actually annoying because I get inspiration like going to Angelica, watching independent movies, and going to theater and seeing plays and having that energy. There's a certain energy about seeing a play right in front of you in the audience, and I miss all that. So, and when you watch Zoom plays, you just don't get that feeling. I think Zoom's fantastic for play readings and getting feedback and all that, but it don't even come close to actually being in the place with the same people, people performing, being those characters. So I think, that's the hurdle is that, but I found out how helpful stage writers is and having a group of people that uh, inspire you to keep writing and having a group to go to, bring your pages and help, they help you make it better. And, that's the best part of this is just having a good group of people to bring things to you and they keep you encouraged.
Yeah, I find it so interesting. I've heard that word introvert a few times over the course of the last year, and it's been very interesting to hear a lot of introverts say they miss a lot of community.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not as introverted as we might think we are. So I'm glad to see that you're still maintaining ways to find that inspiration, because I think as artists, it's one of the most important things that we have right now is to continue to do what we can as best we can, almost any way we can. So it's nice to know that those support systems are out there for everyone, and still focusing on trying to keep people motivated and inspired, because when we come out of this, we're going to need a lot of stories for all of the things that people are going to
Yeah.
want to do. So we're very grateful to you for that. So, speaking of stories, do you mind telling us a little bit about your submission this year for the original works?
So it's called Purple Eyed Teddy. Um, Originally, it was just called Untitled Mystery Play because I didn't know what to call it. And then I didn't really even know where it was going to go as I was writing it. And then I finally figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. So the original inspiration is Les Samurai. It's a French film, 1967, I think. Um, there's the whole opening scene is just the main character never talks, and he like steals a car, goes gets the license plates changed and things. And I thought, that was I wanted to write a character that doesn't talk much and that it's a mystery. It's like he's a mystery to the other characters, he's a mystery to the audience, and so that was the initial inspiration. So the beginning of Purple Latte, he's actually sitting on someone else's couch, and she comes home, and he don't even talk. Like he's just annoyed that she's even talking to him, that even though he's in her house. So I thought, that was fun. But and then the more I went to writing it, the more I was inspired by film noir, and so it's kind of a mystery. There's film fatale. There's so many elements of seediness, and also purposely didn't say what time period it takes place. So there will be phone calls and things, but I never say cell phone. But I also don't say landline. So I just leave that up to the theaters to decide how they want to uh, do that. But the story is there's a police chief um, in a small town. He has a hunch that something shady's going on with the local auction house. Um, but his best detective is actually related by marriage to the person that owns it, so he can't have her investigate it. So he hires in a private investigator from the state capitol. I don't actually say where it takes place. That's up to the theater to decide. Um, so this guy comes in to investigate what's going on with this auction house, and found out there's been a couple murders going on, and kind of plays out from there. It's a thriller, mystery, romance, lots of things mixed together.
Yes, indeed. Now that seems to be a theme with you. Is that on purpose? You are a man of mystery and intrigue. And of the two scripts that I've had the pleasure of reading by you, those are certainly a common theme. Is that what you like to write, or is that just the stories that come to you?
It's what I like. I think so. I watched HBO The Undoing on
Oh,
HBO. It's kind of a mystery and a relationship drama, and that's the kind of stuff I like to write. And um, also got some other things going on. I want to, I'm working on a different story. I wrote part of it. It's a dystopian fantasy, but it's still got those same kind of elements. Like no matter where in the world I put this stuff, I love romance, love mystery, love suspense. So I pretty much put all that in most things I do. And about 50%, not the ones I've sent to you, but about 50% of my stories have a main character or supporting character in a wheelchair, because I found out that people don't get that point of view very often. And I thought that I should be writing more of that kind of stuff. So
very interesting.
done a
Yes.
lot of
Indeed, I think that is fantastic to get those stories out there and provide those opportunities for all kinds of folks. And so, hats off to you for keeping that in the forefront and trying to spread that wealth out there in the community. Because I do agree, we need some more opportunities like that, and also need to encourage people to engage with it as well. So I'll follow up on that a little bit. I know that in the industry as a whole, anyway, and not just stage, but entertainment in general, there's sometimes been a lot of pushback about casting non-handicapped people in handicapped roles. Same is true of uh, uh, gender, ethnicity. What are your
that.
thoughts on those takes? Do you believe that every actor should be able to play any role? Or do you feel as though some of those roles should be pocketed for people that they're a little bit truer to?
I think if possible, they should be cast true to type. I think, somebody in a wheelchair that's good at acting shouldn't be not get the role if you know over somebody else that doesn't ever has never used a wheelchair at all. But I know there's times where that's not possible. There's like they can't find anybody, no one shows up for auditions for that particular part. And I think that's fine, but I think if possible, people should be cast true to type. And um yeah.
Good point. Good point. So, another thing that you mentioned that I find really intriguing is you said early in the interview you love to write dialogue. And then you said you wanted to write a character who didn't speak at all.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious choice for you as a writer, or did that character come to you and shift the dynamic of how you normally approach things? Why did you go against something that you obviously enjoy?
um I do love to challenge myself. That's part of it, I guess. But I know all these people around him are going to be talking. um and I thought, and then I've seen some plays are random. I don't really see them, but where it's like so much stage direction and very little dialogue. So I really kind of just wanted to challenge myself, and I thought, what would that look like? And I liked what I pictured in my mind, how it would look and how such a character would be. And I thought, well, there's 7 characters in this play. If one of them is that way, we're still got 6 of them that are going to talk a lot.
Right.
And he starts talking way more, eventually. But I think the air of mystery around him at the beginning, it was fun.
Nice. So here I got all swept away in visiting with you about playwriting. What's on your lunch menu today?
Yeah, I need to start that. So I'm making a flatbread pizza. Uh,
Nice.
and so we got, you just get one of these flatbreads, a naan. I'm a big fan of garlic, so I get the garlic kind. You can get plain if you don't like that. And then we've got sauce. I use this kind, Don Pepino. I,
Nice.
it can all be delivered by Amazon, which is very easy. Um, we got, I had a little fennel on top, and this Italian seasoning is really good. It's got rosemary, basil, and oregano. It brings out great pizza flavor. I add a little bit of garlic around the edge, because garlic powder, because I love garlic. Having a crunchy edge with garlic around it is really nice. My secret ingredient to spice it up a little is cayenne. I love putting cayenne on there.
Ooh,
Yeah. And
very
then
nice.
I just got pizza cheese. It's a blend of different cheeses, and then I'm just gonna do pepperoni.
Awesome.
So
Well, it sounds delicious, and I'm always looking for those secret ingredients that kick it up a notch, as they say. So while you're getting ready with all of that and moving your lunch into regular oven, toaster oven, how do you go about baking your
yeah,
pizza?
it's a toaster oven, convection oven, I guess. It's a toaster and convection. I've got it set on 350 already. It's preheated. Or
Awesome.
375, because I didn't want it to burn too fast, and I didn't want it to, be too slow either. So I think
Gotcha.
around 400 is what most pizzas do, but mine's a little lower. Slow cooking's fine.
Awesome. Well, I go back and forth on all of these lunches, and everybody is always reminding me that I'm maybe not the healthiest eater with a lot of the meat and potatoes type of things that I do. So I jumped on the health bandwagon again today, and I am going with just a basic salad, but I did make it myself, so I'm pretty happy
Nice.
about that. And I actually used some live lettuce. Not real sure what that means. All I know is it had a root attached to it. So
Oh,
I guess you drop it in water and maybe you can grow more lettuce.
yeah.
But I promptly cut the root off, chopped it up, threw it in a bowl along with some carrots. And I have a little Italian flair as well. I've got a mozzarella mix for some cheese and, of course, the good old fashioned bacon bits. And my secret ingredient today is I love vinegar and oil dressing, but I use malt vinegar for my salad dressing rather than balsamic or some of those other ones. And it just gives it a little bit of a personalized flavor that I do enjoy. So mine's pretty much chopped up and ready to roll. And I'm going to keep everybody in suspense since we are dealing with the mystery playwright today. And I'll show mine off as we wrap things up here. So, David, you want to talk a little bit about any kind of special prep or anything that you do to get your pizza ready for the oven? Is there a secret way to spread that sauce or a certain amount of cheese that needs to go on it?
Okay, so I got the sauce, and then I put all my spices on the sauce, and then I just top that with cheese, and then top it with pepperonis. Pretty
Awesome.
simple.
Pretty straightforward. Looks
Yeah.
like it. Sometimes those are the best meals that we have. So, so
But if I
David, will
put
you
the
finish?
spices in the sauce, it keeps them, it builds the flavor, it seems.
Oh, I could not agree more. It's always better to bury it so it spreads. Most people have put it on top and it won't reach the bottom.
Yeah.
You got to find a middle ground, literally and figuratively. So, David, I've again had the opportunity to read two of your scripts, and you have some randy characters in both of the shows that I've read. I'm curious, are your characters, are they based on real people that you know? Are they all 100% fictional? Or is there a mix of a little bit of both as you create these, uh, I'll just say, eclectic people?
Um, I think Railbird was sort of a mix of people I knew, because that original film version, I wrote it back in college when I played a lot of poker, which I don't play anymore. But um, a lot of that, some of those things were based on some of my friends and how they play and how they acted. I mean, then I crank up the villain stuff. You know, I crank that up to 10 or whatever. But um, I don't know anybody that crazy that does some of these things. But but I mean, various things like how certain people act. You know, I pick up from watching people or watching plays or TV or whatever. And but I try to always make them my own and make whatever fits best for the story and what'll make these characters memorable that maybe you haven't seen this sort of thing before. I always try to go for creativity, originality.
Nice. Well, it
A
certainly
little
does.
bit of everything's always based on me and people I know, I think. at
Gotcha.
least a little bit.
Now, have any of your Muse real life friends and family, have any of them recognized themselves in any of these characters?
And they haven't said so. I'm not even in touch with those people from back in college anymore, but um, no, I don't think so. The one called The Bruce Banana, that was a short story and then turned into a short play. It's actually kind of a memoir, but it's based on my time at Arkansas State, and a lot of that is my character, myself, but it's also dramatized. It has a different ending, stuff that didn't ever actually happen, but it's got various segments that did happen. But I combined it all into one segment, like it all happened in one day in the play, but for me, it happened over several years, and then it has a completely fictional ending. But I do love to use real life situations and things to put those in what I write. But I always go the fictional route too, because I think sometimes real life's not as fun to watch
Right.
as as I can make it be in fiction.
Yeah, sure. There was a time where I've heard several people say that some particular scripts, films, or novels are so outlandish. Oh my goodness, that would never happen. And then the way the world has turned over the course of the last year, I don't know if I would be surprised by any storytelling at all.
I've heard some writers in some of the groups I've been in, like they've sent their novel or whatever to an agent, and they said nobody will believe this because there's no way this would happen. And they said, well, it did happen. It was real life, like they're writing the real story. But some people don't even believe real life happens. But
Oh my goodness gracious. I could not agree more. And I always find that, you see all those based on a true stories and you're like, no, no way, no way. And then if you do the research, you're like, wow, they actually kind of tamed that a little bit. It wasn't near as crazy as what was really going on in the real world. So
yes,
yeah. So as a playwright, David, are you a note taker? Do you collect these bits of data and store them, and then pull them out when the mood strikes, or are you an inspirational writer that things tend to just kind of flow for you?
um, pretty much everything I do, I outline. I want to know the beginning of the story and an end, and a lot of the times the middle and the second half I just figure out later. But sometimes I'll just start writing and I'll write, the beginning, or sometimes I write the end first. But um, I usually like to have an outline before I ever finish. Before I ever even get halfway written, I have an outline of where everything's going to happen. Once I actually write, it always changes. I mean, it's fine, but I want to have an idea where it's going. And but yeah, pretty much every time I outline, it's going to change. The story changes. The characters go do whatever they want to do, and I follow along, and but it works out. But certain ideas come along, and I do. I write them in my phone. I've got the Google Keep Notes, uh, and I keep a list of those. I also have various notebooks I write in hand, by hand, in to keep certain ideas and certain. Like sometimes I'll just hear certain words. I thought, oh, or I hear names, and I thought, oh, that'd be a great character name for something down the line. So I do take notes. I keep a journal and things, and I always outline my works.
Wow, it's just so interesting. I'm so intrigued just how people are able to create these stories from scratch. I personally think it's one of the most challenging disciplines of the arts is just the creation of the stories themselves. So,
Yeah.
all right, is your pizza about ready to go in the oven?
Yep. Yep.
All right, let me, oh, just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Now you said around 350, 375. How long do you keep it in there for?
I check on it in about 10 minutes. Probably takes about 12.
And are you a hard, crunchy crust or soft, chewy crust?
Uh, the naans are kind of soft, chewy, which I like. Uh, Sometimes I like the thin, if we go out to get pizza or whatever, but I'm more for a thicker crust.
Chicago style, do you like those?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
And that old Chicago that was in Mockingbird, Dallas, but it closed down for some reason. But that they had really good pizza. We'd go to the Angelica, right beside it in Mockingbird Station, go watch an indie movie, then go to the pizza. Those were great days, but I miss them.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I certainly miss all of those great theater experiences as well, along with the great food that is indeed out there in the community. So I look forward to dinner and a movie rather than just a hungry man microwave meal and Netflix. I keep
Yeah.
telling people I'm pretty sure I've gotten to about the end of the list, but they've seemed to have stepped up their game and trying to push out some new ones pretty fast for sure. So,
Mhm.
wow, what a crazy year it's been. So, David, again, kicking back to all of these playwriting groups that you have been a part of and also started some up as well. Are you seeing a demand for scripts from playwrights or even screenwriters from theaters or from commissions? Are they growing? Are more people asking for original stories, or is it still as much of a challenge to try to get your material out, noticed, and produced?
There's a lot of submission opportunities. If anyone joins the Playwright Center in Minneapolis, they have a huge list of submission opportunities that updates daily. Um, so there's so many opportunities, but it's still tough to get in. It has to be, people are looking for certain things, and what's good for one theater, they might not care anything about it at another. It's just, it's tough to get produced and get readings and things, but there are tons of opportunities.
Well, that is indeed great to hear. And, with all those opportunities coming up, and I know that you've talked a lot about some virtual opportunities that have been there. Here we are a year from last we spoke, and we're still in a virtual theater as it is. How do you see the arts continuing to adapt? Do you feel as though virtual will come along with us once we get back in house? Do you think we ever will? How do you see the arts adapting and continuing to change as not only more opportunities arise, but also vaccinations and the pandemic turns into an endemic? And hopefully by year's end, we're able to at least regroup in some form or fashion.
Um, I'm hoping it all comes back. I miss sitting by strangers in the dark and watching plays, but yeah, it's tough to know because I thought, last year when we were doing Railbird, I thought, okay, this will be over by fall. And then I thought, well, at least next spring, but the latest. And then here we are still, there's no sign of an end really. And there's all these new variants. And so I don't know. That's part of why I'm kind of moving on to short stories and novels, because I don't know if theater's coming back for sure. I know, and seeing it on the screen is just not the same for me. I thought if I'm going to see it on the screen, maybe I ought to write a screenplay, not a stage play. So I don't know. It's tough, but I do hope these vaccines, will get rid of it. Help us get back to normal. But I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I tell people all the time, I see a small ray of sunshine and I feel a little glimmer of hope. That's been quashed a few times throughout the last year, so I'm a little hesitant to have
Me
too
too.
much of either or. but at the same time, I'm also not willing to let it completely go.
Yeah.
And I honestly just cannot say it enough. These opportunities that I have had to chat and visit with the artistic community itself has just been a lifeline for me personally. And I certainly hope that some of the other artistic community has gotten some value and benefit from it because, I assumed everyone was just locked in a closet when all this started. And as I've had the opportunity to visit and talk with a lot of really, really incredible people, I see that, as usual, the arts community are just moving forward, bull strong, as much and as safely as they can. And I really do believe it's a testament to the arts as a whole. We always talk about how great it is and how resilient we are in times of challenge. But I think too often we look at the end product, the release of the movie, and we're not able to really see how long and how much work goes into so much of this. Because honestly, a year in the arts community is just a year in the arts community. I don't know too many people that are able to take something from an idea to a finished product, if it's a
Yeah.
movie or a play, in less than a year. And usually that timeline, that's being pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think we have kind of innate ability to not panic too much if a period of time goes by and we haven't just totally completely finished the project. What's an average for you from thought to production? Is it a year? How long do you normally take to shape your plays before you kick them out to the next stage?
Um, so full length, I work on them several months. I've got, I don't know, three that I've started, and they're just kind of sitting around marinating in my mind. And a couple of them I have, the complete outlines. Last fall, I did a class with the Dramatists Guild. It was about um, self-conscious, the first draft, where you try to just write the first draft, whatever comes to your mind, you just write it and see where it goes. And that was helpful because I always struggle with drafts because I want to go edit and edit and edit before moving on. And so I don't know. So I don't know. It takes I don't know, at least I would say 6 months or so before
Wow.
completing it, and then get a reading or two, and I, end up changing lots of it, and then, well, before then, I, let my friends read it, and they give me feedback, and then I, start submitting it maybe after 6 months or so, and get readings, change them as I get feedback from those, and the short plays though, some of them I've written in a day, and they get produced, so just depends on how that goes. But and then some short plays tinker around with for a couple months or so. But
Gotcha.
4 weeks take way
And
long.
do you always have to put your stamp on it before you release it, or are you a little looser with that and sometimes send it out before even you may be not quite finished just to see how it is shaping and how it sounds?
Yeah, there's some, if a deadline's approaching and I'm decently happy with it, I'll go ahead and send it. And most of the time that doesn't get picked because it wasn't done, it wasn't as good as it could be. But um, if if a deadline's approaching, sometimes I do send it, but I like to take my time, and it's even good to write it, let it sit around, several weeks, and then come back to it. Then you'll see all kinds of things that you want to improve on. Um, so that's the best way. But yeah, sometimes I just send them, see what happens.
Gotcha. I'm also curious, the first time you ever hear your show out loud, how close is it to what you hear in your mind? And is that dependent on how well you wrote it or how well the actors handled it?
Um, Sometimes I could have written something better. Other times it is the actor, and like I've had some lately, they had weird accents. It's like, that wasn't in the script. Why are you doing that? I don't understand such things, but that's just an actor or director's decision just to add some weird accent, and that makes no sense to me. But um, yeah, some lines, just don't. Certain actors don't like certain lines, and I love to be in rehearsals. I love, when the playwright gets invited to rehearsals, and you can fix it right there. And I love to get the initial feedback from actors and be in rehearsals and hear how they first perceive the plays and things. That's so helpful in making it better.
I really find it so interesting as an author. Is paraphrasing like nails on a chalkboard to you? Are you the type of writer that says, here's my story, go do what you want with it? Or are you the type of writer that says, here's my story and I wrote it this way and that's what I need done?
Yeah, I'm more of this is how I wrote it, do it this way. I want to direct things myself, really, uh, but certain things that people do that I never thought of, I like. I had a short play called The Doll with Imprint last year, and they just assigned me a director, and she did fantastic things with it that I never would have thought. And sometimes that's such a great thing, and then sometimes it's not anything I would ever put in there, and I hate it. So it just depends.
Yeah, it's we're all at the mercy of the other side of the stage, whether we're on it, in it, writing it, trying to build the set for it, or any of that. Everybody always talks about what a community process creating a play is, but I always find it so funny myself when certain elements of that community feel as though they may have a little more weight if it's the playwright or the
Yeah.
director, or God forbid, some actor out there that seems to think that they've figured it out and this is probably what should happen.
Yep.
So, what to me personally, it's one of the best experiences is watching all of those different components try to find some kind of continuity amongst them. And, they say casting a play is, 90% of the problem or solution, however you want to define that. But I think it's spread out a little bit more evenly than just hoping you cast the right people. I really do think that there has to be some continuity amongst the production team to make sure
Yeah.
everybody's reaching for that same kind of tone and feel and those sort of things. So it's certainly inspiring when that happens, and can be quite maddening whenever you're trying to get all those ducks lined up and get everybody to see things through your lens. So,
Yeah.
have you had an opportunity to direct shows yourself, if not necessarily your scripts, but others?
Yes. So part of Stage Writers, we did a festival in 2019 in May, and I directed 3 short plays there. And then I've directed one of my own in Denton, and um, yeah, October 2019, we Stage Writers partnered with Brighter Tomorrows, which is for abusive relationships. They go there to get shelter and things. And we partnered with them for October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we did 4 plays with them, and they all had a domestic violence theme
Right.
and signs and things. And I directed one of those, and the audience voted, and that play actually won that night. So I got a prize for directing, which was nice.
Nice.
And it was not my own play, so it was fun. And then last year we wanted to do a festival each year. So we actually picked 10 plays to do, and then COVID hit, and we had to just postpone indefinitely. So that's just in limbo. This year we've decided to do audio plays. So, the arts do live on. We just have to figure out
Yes.
different ways to do it. So we're doing audio plays, and I'm going to direct my own, produce my own, and probably some of the others that get submitted.
Nice. And is it harder to direct your own show, or is it harder to direct a show that someone else has written?
Um, it's somewhat easier for some reason. I think I'm so attached to my own scripts that I want it perfection. And when I see somebody else's, I just get this vision of how it should be, and I'm not as attached to it. And I let actors kind of do, what they think is best. If, I think it makes no sense, I correct them, and, but I actually enjoy more of directing other people's stuff than my own because I want my stuff so perfect.
I think that makes perfect sense, and I imagine probably most other playwrights might say that same thing. I can't imagine letting go of anything in terms of my own children or any of that. And it's always easier to tell other people what to do than it is to try to do it yourself, for sure. So, all right, David, how's that pizza coming?
Probably about time. Let me check that.
Well, I'm gonna move on here a little bit to prepping mine. I don't ever like to put the dressing on too soon because I feel it makes the lettuce a little soggy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get mine moving forward here for plating and presentation while you get yours out of that toaster oven then. And David, while we're wrapping these things up here, I was curious if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about any helpful community resources that you are seeing or using personally or professionally, and how can playwrights be assisted or provide assistance to other artists or organizations?
I don't know. Um, so many theaters and things are nonprofits, so you could always donate to help them out. I don't know. That's not my expertise.
Fair enough. Your stage writers seem to be a pretty good support group.
Yeah.
Do you guys talk amongst each other as well and offer those opportunities for other writers who may be new to your group? Is it really just a support, or are there actual resources and things in these writing groups that do assist, not necessarily with monetary value, money, but are there workshops that you guys look to share? Is that information in there as well? Or is it more of just, here's our play, help me finish it?
No, we try to support each other in all kinds of ways. So we even started a happy hour the first Wednesday of each month. So we just get together to talk about what we're working on, talk about life and things. And our meetings are open. You can just go to our website, stageartist.com, and RSVP to join us. We send out the Zoom links that morning of each meeting. So you can be a member and get it always, always get the links, or, just join us as a guest anytime you want. But yeah, we talk about all kinds of things and try to support each other. We've started a meeting called Stage Writers Unscripted. So those of us that are writing novels or short stories can bring those pages to read, because some of us are, we write multiple things, and not just me, a whole lot of us write short stories or novels or whatever. And so we thought we'd expand it this year, include some of those type of things instead of just plays. And it's a great group and they give great feedback. So
well, it sounds to me like a wonderful resource right there. So hats off to that. Make sure, if you get an opportunity, as we wrap up the interview, anything that you would like to post or encourage people to just drop by and see what's going on, make sure you come back through and get us a link in the comments as well, so that we can hopefully help guide any potential great writers to find their way into those groups. Because I just think that it is fantastic to have local playwrights communicating and hopefully getting their scripts out and into the area as well. So, all right, is your pizza all set and ready for presentation?
It is.
All right, let me see that beautiful thing. Oh my goodness. Absolutely gorgeous. How did that crust edge turn out?
Crispy and done.
Perfect, isn't it?
It'll be crispy on the edge, soft in the middle, perfect.
Looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at mine here. There's that beautiful live lettuce, which is about to be consumed. And then the carrots, bacon bits, and cheese as well, dropped on that vinegar and oil. And
Nice.
very excited to take a bite. Well, David, we'll wrap this up before that pizza gets too cold. Before
right.
we do, this is probably the most important question I'm going to ask you today. How and where can people find out about David Douglas and all the great things that you've got out there?
So that would be Douglas.com, David-Douglas.com. It's the easiest way to find me. My links to Facebook and Instagram are on there. I'm at All the Currencies on Instagram, if you can spell that. Some people have problems, but the links are all on my website. And then if you're interested in stage writers, just stagewriters.com. If we're actually open for submissions until April 30th. If you want to write a Halloween audio play, there's certain guidelines. You got to use certain words in it because we want all original new works. But yeah, all that's at stagewriters.com.
Awesome. Well, we'll try to make sure we get some links down there as well in the comments. And again, just to remind everybody, Purple Eyed Teddy coming up this Thursday on Facebook on the Fort Worth Community Arts Center's page. Any final words of wisdom for anybody that's out there watching us today?
And keep writing, keep creating.
Good enough. Words of wisdom indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of our Boxed Lunch program. David, we're so grateful for you, not only for your story, but also for you taking the time to join us here today. And with that being said, we will sign off. We'll be back next Monday with a brand new edition. And we are always so grateful to everyone joining us. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to everybody out there. And bon appetit, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.